Melda Productions. Melda Productions. Hey, this is Chandler for Melda Productions, and today I want to show you a way to create rhythmic impulse responses. So the first thing we're going to need is MConvolution Multiband. So if we open it here, we're going to look in the presets and just click on Default. This takes us into the edit screen. If you look here under File, you see there's already rhythmic impulse responses. So I'll let you hear what some of these sound like in case you aren't familiar. Let's bypass this and let's look at a dry vocal, just so we can hear what this sounds like before we start adding impulse responses. Melda. Okay, now let's add some rhythmic impulse responses. I'm going to turn the wet signal up 100% just so you can hear it a little bit more clearly. Melda. 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 So as you heard, each of these has a unique tonal character, and on top of that, they're rhythmic. Now, of course, we could make more impulse responses, but that takes a long time, and the big problem is it's hard to sync these to tempo. But there's an easy way to do this, and that's by using artificial impulse responses. So let's go over here where it says Reverb. Now, you see here we have an artificial impulse response. This decay is great normally, but in this case, we want to turn this off. If you look to the left here, it says Enable Decay. Click on that, turn it off. Now we have no decay. If we listen to this, it's not going to sound great, but I'll let you hear what it sounds like. This is a great place to start though. So let's first turn off the dampening because I want to hear that high end. The way to create rhythmic patterns is by going here to Volume and right-clicking. So there's many different curvature modes here. We can use this mode 1 if we want to just create basic curves like this. This is okay if I want a reverse sound. So if I do this and play it, it'll have a swell in type sound. That's nice, but not really what we want. Let's try some other ones, like here where it says pulses. Click on that. We'll move one side down, and now you see we have different pulses. They almost look like square waves. Now by moving this up or down, we can increase or decrease the number of pulses. Let's try 4. That's very interesting. I like that. But it just sounds like a delay. Also, at the beginning, it's a little bit soft, and at first you're probably wondering, why is it so soft at the beginning? And if you see here, the impulse response is a little bit low in volume at the beginning, but we can change that by just using Hall 2. Okay, fixed. Another problem is, this just sounds like a normal delay. We want to do more interesting rhythmic things. So let's try double-clicking, adding another node. We'll decrease the pulses here. Let's try 2 pulses. We'll move the right side up, and let's increase it to, let's say, 4 pulses. Now let's hear this. I like the sound of that, but I think we can do better. Let's double click again, add another one, decrease this to about 2 pulses, move this side down, and increase this to, say, 4 pulses. Now it should sound like a delay that's speeding up. So let's hear that. Okay, that's good. But there's more we can do with this. If we look here where it says LP, this is a low pass filter. Now by moving this up and down, we can control the low pass filter over time. We can also right click it and do the same thing with the pulses, saws, triangles, sines. So you can, of course, experiment with that yourself, and you can also use the step sequencer if you want to add something like this. It's very interesting, but let's stick with something basic now. So I'll clear these points and use mode 1. So let's just have kind of an upwards filter sweep with the low pass filter. So let's hear that. That's good. Let's try the opposite with a high pass filter. start it around 500 here. So it goes from a bandpass sound to a full spectrum sound over time. Another thing you might want to look at is the meters. So if we play this, you'll probably notice that the dry sound is much louder than the wet sound. We can change that. Just look here and then we'll match it afterwards. So it says our dry sound is reaching negative 7.1 and our wet sound is negative 18.3. So let's try adding about 10 decibels of gain here. That's exactly what I want. But I know you're probably thinking, didn't you say you could sync this to tempo? Yes, I did. And the way to do that is by adjusting the length. So let's double click here. Now you see here we have many different rhythmic subdivisions. MConvolution will calculate these different rhythmic values for you automatically, so you don't have to do it. So let's try one whole measure here. That's 2,666 milliseconds approximately. Okay, everything's correct there. Now, I have this, but you're probably thinking, why do you need it synced up? Let's say I want to use this as an effect and have this go into this sound here. So let me bypass this and I'll let you hear the other part where I cut this from. Melda Productions. So let's kind of do a rhythmic lead into that. So the first thing I'm going to do is move this over so it's exactly one bar ahead of this. And that's because I have this synced to one measure. Next thing we need to do is add some automation. We can do that by clicking here where it says clear and learn, move the dry wet. Now in parameter 1, if we move this, it's going to adjust the dry and wet controls. I'll go and now I'll add some automation. So we have it. Let's add a few points here. Okay, now I have my automation added. Let's hear how it sounds. Melda Productions. Okay, that's what I wanted. Of course, you can make these shorter or longer, and you can even go into the advanced settings and change things like the stereo width, etc. So, with this, I think you can come up with all sorts of interesting and new ideas. That's all for today. Have fun with this idea, and until next time, see you.